Welcome to Mima Zone. I am a grandma and a mom, and my grandchildren call me Mima, so that's how we got our name. I have a story today. It's called The Song of the King, and I noticed that there are a lot of words in this book, so it might take a little bit longer than usual, but I haven't read it, so I hope it's good. But it's a great author, Max Lucado. Have you seen any of his books or read anything? Well, let's check it out, okay? The Song of the King. Here's a king. The three knights sat at the table and listened as the prince spoke. My father, oh, so he's the prince. Let's start over. It looks like a king, huh? He's the prince. Okay. So the three knights sat at the table and listened as the prince spoke. My father, the king, will give the hand of my sister to the first of you who can prove himself worthy. The prince paused to let the men take in the news. He looked at their faces, each weathered from miles and scarred from battles. The three had much in common. They were the strongest warriors in the kingdom, and they each wanted to marry the daughter of the king. The king had promised each a chance, a test to see which was worthy of his daughter. And now the time for the test had arrived. I wonder what it is going to be. The test is a journey, the prince explained, a journey to the king's castle by way of Hemlock. The forest? One knight quickly inquired. The forest, answered the prince. There was silence as the knights thought about the words. Each felt a stab of fear. They knew the danger of Hemlock, a dark and deadly place. Parts of it were so thick with trees that the sunlight never found the floor. It was the home of the hope knots, small, sly creatures with yellow eyes. Hope knots were not strong, but they were clever, and there were many. Some people believed the hope knots were lost travelers changed by the darkness, but no one really knew for sure. That's a very thick forest. Woo. Woo. Can you say that? Woo. Will we travel alone? Carlyle spoke. A strange question to come from the strongest of the three knights. His fierce sword was known throughout the kingdom. But even this steely soldier knew better than to travel Hemlock alone. You may each choose one person to travel with you. But the forest is dark. The trees make the sky black. How will we find the castle? This time it was Alan who spoke. He was not as strong as Carlyle, but much quicker. He was famous for his speed. Alan left trails of confused enemy. He had escaped them by ducking into trees or scampering over walls. But quickness is worthless if you have no direction. So Alan asked, "How can we find the way?" The prince nodded. The prince nodded, reached into his sack, and pulled out an ivory flute. There are only two of these, he explained, this one and another in the possession of the king. He put the instrument to his lips and played a soft, sweet song. Never had the knights heard such smooth, soothing music. My father's flute plays the same song. His song will guide you to the castle. How is that? Alan asked. 3 times a day the king will play from the castle wall, early in the morning, at noon, and again in the evening. Listen for him, follow his song, and you will find the castle. There's the father playing the song. To help them find the castle, you have to listen carefully. There is only one other flute like this one, only one. And you and your father play the same music? Yes. It was Cassiodon who was asking. Cassiodon was known for his alertness. He saw what others missed. He knew the home of a traveler by the dirt on his boot. He knew the truth of a story by the eyes of a teller. He could tell the size of a marching army by the number of scattered birds in flight. Carlyle and Alan wondered why he asked about the flute. It wouldn't be very long before they found out. Consider the danger and choose your companion carefully, the prince cautioned. And so they did. The next morning the three knights mounted their horses and entered Hemlock. Beside each rode the chosen companion. So here they are with their chosen companion that they chose carefully. When you're going into a dark forest and things are going to be scary, you have to choose your companion very carefully. It's kind of like in life when you're choosing your friends and you want really good friends that you can trust and that you can rely on and that you know will be honest with you. So they went into the forest, each one with their companion. For the people in the king's castle, the days of waiting passed slowly. All knew of the test, and all wondered which knight would win the princess. 3 times a day the king sent his song soaring into the trees of Hemlock, and 3 times a day the people stopped their work to listen. There he is playing it. And there are the people stopping to listen. I bet it was a beautiful song. Don't you think it was probably beautiful music? Because he was the king and he had a special flute, so it was probably very beautiful. After many days and countless songs, a watchman spotted 2 figures stumbling out of the forest. No one can tell who they were. They were too far from the castle. The men had no horses, weapons, or armor. Spotted them coming out. Hurry, the king commanded his guards. Bring them in, give them medical treatment and food, but don't tell anyone who they are. Dress the knight as a prince, and we will see their faces tonight at the banquet. He then dismissed the crowds and told them to prepare for the feast. That evening, a joyful spirit filled the banquet hall. At every table, the people tried to guess which knight had survived Hemlock Forest. Finally, the moment came to present the winner. At the king's signal, the people became quiet, and he began to play that flute. Once again, the ivory instrument sang. The people turned to see who would enter. Many thought it would be Carlyle, the strongest. Others felt it would be Alan, the swiftest. So they waited. Let's see who it was. But it was neither. The knight who survived the journey was Cassiodon, the wisest. He strode quickly across the floor, following the sound of the flute one final time, and bowed before the king. And the princess all smiling. That's a good sign. Tell us of your journey, he was instructed. The people leaned forward to listen. The Hope-Knots were crafty, Cassiodon began. They attacked, but we fought back. They took our horses, but we continued. What nearly destroyed us, though, was something far worse. What was that? Asked the princess. They imitated. They imitated? Asked the king. Yes, my king, they imitated. Each time the song of your flute would enter the forest, 100 flutes would begin to play. All around us we heard music, songs from every direction. I do not know what became of Carlyle and Alan," he continued, "but I know strength and speed will not help one to hear the right flute." The king asks the question that was on everyone's lips. "Then how did you hear my song?" "I chose the right companion," he answered, and he motioned for his fellow traveler to enter. The people gasped. Who do you think it was? Who do you think it was? It was the prince. In his hand he carried the flute. "I knew there was only one who could play the song as you do," Cassidan explained, "so I asked him to travel with me. As we journeyed, he played. I learned your song so well that though 1,000 false flutes tried to hide your music, I could still hear you. I knew your song and followed it." Aww. There's the prince, there's the princess, there's Cassidan, and there's the king. Isn't that awesome that he took the prince and he learned how to hear the king's song? Oh, that's a great story. I hope you liked that story. And I hope you know something else. Yeah, you know, I love you so much. I hope I can see you again. Come back and hear another story, okay? Love you. Have a great day or night. Mwah.